Okay, so we were given a text about mechanism and social control. I think it's just a shorter part of another story. It's quite short at least, and it mostly is about like a brother and a sister not agreeing on politics, and it's not because they talk about politics. It's more they have two different viewpoints. Like the sister Christine, she seems to not really like talking about politics. She kind of just wants to be neutral and seems to not be interested, but she still has very strong feelings upon like the government. And the whole thing is that people start of disappearing. I don't know it's thought that they might have died or been killed at least, and then also just that's the whole thing about the teacher dying because firstly they were fired, and then afterwards they just magically kind of died of a drug overdose, even though they were not the type at all to have been taking drugs. They wouldn't seem to be for that reason at least. And the brother Sean, he has a faith in the government. He seems that it seems that he hasn't really experienced the corruption that Christine maybe has put her eyes on, because he has been working quite hard to be part of this thing called City Safe, where they're keeping they're keeping the city safe. It's kind of a name that's a purpose, and he hasn't really experienced this kind of nepotism. That's kind of when you know someone and then you get a job because you know them, maybe you have family, and then you get the job because of that. And it also says that he doesn't really have friends or family. He's kind of alone, so it can't have been a reason at all, because it's not possible for him. And so he has like actually earned this position, and it's not because of someone else. This is only for himself, and he has really earned it. And Christine is really proud of him for that, but she still despises what he's doing because she seems to hate the government. You can see this also just the way she describes her own brother. She describes him as being naive, and that's quite kind of harsh word to put on someone. And the reason for that, she probably doesn't like the government also because she seems that they're doing as much bad as they're doing good, probably even more bad. And she can't really get behind the argument that people didn't have jobs before these people came in and helped them, because she's more focused upon that there's like a giant food crisis going on and everyone's ignoring it, and you can't really see why you should just ignore it. And she's kind of seems to be kind of scared of talking to her brother about this. She says that it's unlikely that Sean will rat on his own sister, but this is said that she tries to convince herself, so it means that she doesn't believe it from the beginning, and she seems to be quite scared of this, that now he's part of this, he will go to the top and tell what's happening. And a reason for her to be scared is that she thinks that she might die because people are just kind of started disappearing, and she thinks that they're probably killed, like they're taken out. And there was also something about a teacher just disappearing. They died of a drug overdose, but first they were fired, and that seems quite weird. But the whole thing was that he was homosexual, and no one knew that he was homosexual, so him being fired because of this seems weird, because he was kind of closed off, and not even like his friends knew he was a homosexual. So that means someone, in a way, probably must have been spying on him. And I feel like it's like a whole Second World War thing, the whole like the east side of Berlin Wall, or like the Hitler thing, that someone comes in and helps someone who are in need, and then people start liking them, they love them because they're like the savior of them. But then they get like, because of this, and because of they have blinded the people in this way, they kind of like go with their own little things, the small, like, oh, oops, they died, but it was for a reason. You know, everything like killing the Jews just because he blamed everything upon them, and people kind of saw between the fingers. They didn't really care that much. They probably didn't even know. Most people didn't know, and I think most people don't know about this and won't suspect them because they trust them, because the first thing they did was making a trusting bond between them and the people. So they're still able to do this. And I think it kind of sounds like the beginning of a dictatorship, to be honest, because it starts out with this kind of trust bonding, then kind of just becomes someone controlling whatever. And because it says this, these cities safe, they're kind of there to protect them in a way. And I don't know, I feel like there are probably some of them who are the one like spying, because I think it's most likely that the teacher was spied on, since they were able to even know it in any way. Because if he kept himself closed off, it wouldn't be possible to them to just know, because you can't really see it on people. So there's quite a lot of discrimination between this, and I think it might have like just been a hidden camera, but I think it's kind of the beginning, kind of hearing the beginning of like a dictatorship happening, something like North Korea or the east side of Berlin Wall or something like that. And yeah, that's the whole thing, like why is no one questioning it? Because Christine seems to also ask this question, because all of a sudden all journalists and activists kind of just disappeared, which is also the weird part, like every kind of freedom following thing is kind of gone, which just supports the fact that there's probably something with dictatorship happening. And I think it like something like this could happen that hasn't happened before, and I think it's the whole thing that if most people just go along with what's happening, then the ones who are questioning what's happening, if the people who are questioning, they start questioning themselves too, they kind of just began agreeing with the other people, and this means that you're kind of like getting rid of everyone who's questioning the government's authority, and they're able to if they're able to even make these kind of decisions. So we also hear that Christine's kind of beginning to question herself, that maybe she's the one who's wrong, because if she's the only one who don't like them, if everyone likes them, then she kind of feels like, well, it's probably her who's doing something wrong, and like there's probably nothing happening then, and this is how they just in general they succeed with this kind of behavior, I think.